And I just feel like that being in a community helps you feel like you belong. Those are the people that I'm doing life with. They've walked me through some hard times. They've been there through grief. They've been there through celebrations.
Yeah.
The community you keep is really the soil you grow in. And so what I mean there is if you keep community that is like-minded, they're, in the word, in church, they're intentional about being in community with each other, and they're living out that love that you're supposed to have, then you reap the benefits of that.
We want something for you, not something from you. And that's the for you.
Yeah.
You show up, but there's something in this for you. If we want to be the community God called us to be, we need to pray with each other.
Welcome to Let's Talk About That, the podcast where we deep dive into Sunday's message and explore your questions. I'm your host, Astin Kahnk, and I'm excited to share this journey with you. Whether you're a longtime member of the Orchard or a first-time visitor, Let's Talk About That is your space to explore, reflect, and connect. Join us as we navigate the intricacies of faith, spirituality, and daily life, seeking to understand how the wisdom shared on Sundays can be applied to our modern challenges. So, grab a cup of coffee, find a comfortable space, and let's dive in together. This is Let's Talk About That, where the conversation about Sunday's message never stops. Well, welcome back to Let's Talk About That, episode 112. And I am very excited about this conversation this morning because I have a voice from each location sitting around me. Today, we're going to talk about community and why it matters. So I'm going to let this lady across the way introduce herself. Just let us know who you are, what you do, and what location you attend.
I'm Carla Collins, and I attend the Brantford location. I am a group leader, and I help in kids ministry. And I also help with the student ministry on Wednesday.
And what do you do for a living, Carla Collins?
For a living, I'm a hairstylist.
Oh, I love she's a hair girl hat on this morning, and she is looking so cute this morning. All right, we'll go over here. You?
Daniel Jordan. I have no hair, so sorry, Carla. I attend the Live Oak campus. I'm a group leader there, and I'm an instructional designer for the University of South Florida.
Very cool. Okay, so what do you do as an instructional design instructors?
Yeah. No, I wish. No, I build online courses.
Oh, very cool.
That kind of instruction.
Yeah. My mind went to
That happens all the time. I wish
that's how we know you've been out of education for a while.
Yeah. Think straight and did not have enough coffee. That's really cool. Okay. So they just contact you and you just build the courses for them?
Yeah, we collaborate with the instructors, the professors, and anybody who's got something that's going to go online comes through our department.
That's really, really cool. I love that. All right. And then this guy next to me, what's your name? What do you do? And what location do you attend?
My name's Trey Lee. I attend the Lake City location. I just serve wherever needed there. And I work for Fellowship of Christian Athletes full time. So.
Very cool. That's so awesome, man. You were totally walking in your calling, Trey. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here. We have been talking about, with our new sermon series, one another's. And so week 1, we talked about why the local church still matters. Week 2, we talked about Jesus's command us to love one another and that it's not an option. And then yesterday, we talked about how the one another's listed in Scripture are often intentional actions. However, they are the natural outflow of a spirit-filled life. And so today for our conversation, we're just going to talk about why does living in community matter? So all of you either lead a group, have been in a group, host a group. So let's start with the first question. What does community give you that sermons, books, and podcasts can't? The thing about living in community, what has your experience been with community? Because, we read great books, we listen to great podcasts, but what has living in community, how has living in community blessed you more than these other resources?
Just the relationships that you build, because those relationships help you grow in your walk. Some accountability is there. And I just think that when you get together, it's totally different than just sitting and listening alone when you're sharing with one another and building the confidence that you have in that relationship that you can share the things, ask the questions.
Yeah.
And that's where you're growing.
Yeah. I think that accountability key is so important because you can listen to all the podcasts and they tell you all the great things, but until you have someone actually making you do the work, it's just words. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think what comes to mind, something we've talked about in groups a lot, is that this is life transformation, not more information. And so reading books, watching podcasts, listening to podcasts, those things are great, but it's just more information at the end of the day. There's nothing about that puts things into practice. And so, it's the same thing that we talk about with church and the Bible, right? Reading the Bible is great, but living out the Bible is, equally as important. Right?
Yeah.
You can have all the knowledge in the world and still not be saved. But the reality of it is whenever, that heart change starts to happen, and it's the accountability and all that, that comes with that. But I think that's kind of, the importance of living in community is you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't practice it, it's not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Daniel, what do you think about that?
Definitely provides the opportunity for you to live out the love that you should be learning about Sunday morning or in your podcast or reading in private worship. It's the accountability. It's the sharpening of iron. It's all the things that you should be doing in practice.
Yeah. And I think, too, just in the season that Brandon and I were in with groups, too, it's the accountability, but also just that community aspect. You hear people talking about the importance of community, but it's like when you go through something hard, if you don't have anyone in your corner supporting you, it's like you can feel I think those other things are very isolating as well. Like, biblically, we're called to be in community. And if not, you're missing out on so much that God has. Yeah,
it's really easy to come to the Orchard and not interact with people if you want to. Like, if you truly want to walk in and sit down and walk out, you kind of have that freedom to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And so groups is the first kind of opportunity. Well, group actually serving is probably the first opportunity. And then groups is also an opportunity to say, okay, here's a way for you to get more connected. And I think a lot of people say, man, I just want more depth. And the reality is depth comes from doing life with others.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
But I think back to what you say about serving, I think if they take the first step to serve a lot of times leads them into a community and into a group.
Right.
Yeah.
And I found that's my case, in my case. And that's why I always think it's important to take the first step of serving, because it absolutely
is that kind of what
leads you.
Spurred you into getting in a group was through serving with kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. I remember back when I worked in Bennington in Nebraska, so many people would, step into serving for the first time, didn't know. But by the time their 3-week rotation ended, they're like, wow, this person's like my friend. They've, carried some burden, helped me carry some burdens with them. And just like you said, just that first step, whatever it is. But serving is a great segue into that, because I feel like there's no pressure in serving, where sometimes people could have that lens of it's hard to open up whenever you're in a group. You have that pressure. But if you're serving, you're just basically physically working alongside someone, which naturally starts conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in Live Oak, it's kind of worked in tandem. So I'm part of a men's group.
Okay.
And one of the things we've done is be intentional about seeking out opportunities to serve as a group.
Very cool.
So it's been kind of a two-edged sword for us.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So let's continue. So what risks have you as a leader had to take first for your group to go deeper? Or maybe you were in a group, maybe it was just very surface level conversations. What did you have to do to kind of help spearhead your group to be willing to be vulnerable and open? Because, it's like Trey said, it's very easy just to skirt alongside. But if you want to grow in your relationship with Jesus, your accountability aspect, you have to go deeper in conversation, just sharing more. So, what did you guys have to do to help spearhead the conversations in your groups?
You can't ask someone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of pull the curtain back and share, some of your struggles and some of the things that are on your mind.
Yeah.
To get other people to open up. It's not going to happen otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. Is it okay if I share a quick story?
Absolutely.
Just ties into this. So when Savannah and I first got married, we were asked to lead a group that was multiplying from another group. And there were a lot of factors in that are the reason that group didn't work out. But, COVID happened during that time. But there was a couple weeks in a row that there were 2 single guys showing up to the group at the house, and then me and Savannah. And, Savannah's like, I don't necessarily want to sit and talk with just single guys. Yeah. And I was like, well, I kind of want to be in a group with my wife and with other. And so the group kind of fell apart. And in a sense, I was like, man, we really are not good group leaders. But a lot of the reality of that was we weren't necessarily being open and honest. We were trying to, not that we were being deceptive, but we said all the right answers. Yeah. And we made sure to present ourselves as this perfect group couple, right? And in reality, that was our first couple years of marriage. We were not good at it. And so, not that we're great at it now, but we have grown. And so this group that we're in currently stemmed from another group that we were in. And we have the group nights kind of birthed from a couple groups needing just a different avenue kind of to meet. And one of the reasons that our groups were thriving was we were just open and honest and transparent. And so that's a risk because you share some things with people sometimes, I mean, especially in the open model that we have now where people walk in for the first time and they don't know you.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know anything about you and you're being open with all these other people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually Savannah recently just shared really just kind of a prayer request for us as a family. And her and I were just kind of out of rhythm in marriage and trying to kind of figure that out. And she just shared like, it's been a rough week for us. Like we've, you know, not been on the same team on the same page. And I got a text from a guy in the group and he was just like, man, to see you up there while your wife was sharing that and how you just handled that with grace. He's like, that's just really cool. He said, I would never have seen that in any other churches that I've been in. And that's not saying the Orchard has some secret sauce. This happens all over the place. Just his background. He's like, I would not have seen that in other places. And he's like, man, that was awesome. And that has really encouraged him, I think, to be able to say, okay, like we can be open and transparent. And so just being willing to throw those things out there and, you know, maybe one day it backfires on us, right? But it hasn't yet. So we're going to keep running the play.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I love that. Yeah. Brandon and I, one of our very first, kind of similar to you and Savannah, one of our very first groups was, we called ourselves the nearlyweds and the newlyweds because everybody either got married during COVID or were engaged during COVID. And, you know, I worked for the church at that point. And so it was kind of like, hey, can you help start a group? And I was like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Same thing. I love to host, do all the things. But we had a couple that co-led with us and they'd been married for about 5 years and they gave us this book and it was called For Women Only and For Men Only. And so the women read the For Women Only book, which is about the male brain, how they process and stuff. And then the men read the other book. But that book right away, you had to be really open and honest with those conversations. And so what we always said was what's discussed in group stays in group. That way you have that consensus of, okay, we're not going to go talk about someone else, but it's like we should be able to have the lens of like, okay, we can be open and honest and know this conversation isn't going to lead anywhere. But I do think it talks about just being vulnerable, being like, hey, this is my garbage, but Jesus is still good. So it's like the common denominator is Jesus is still good, so I can share those kinds of things.
Yeah. I mean, I just totally agree with all of that. I mean, all of those things are things that I would think is being open and honest on different subjects that we're covering. I've led, I've been a part of groups, and at the time I'm a part of a group, and then I'm leading a group. Yeah, 2 different groups I go to. And so I said when I started, I was always very comfortable in teaching little ones. Yeah, but then when you get in a room with a bunch of adults, then I'm like, I'm not sure how comfortable.
How do you handle the awkward silence in a group, though? Like whenever you throw a question out and then no one says anything, like, do you just kind of sit? Like, I know for me at first it was uncomfortable, but with the teacher and me, I'm like, no, this is good. Yeah, your point of view.
My background's education too, so there's a lot of those teaching strategies that come in where there's a pause, and sometimes it's just, I'm not going to bail us out this time. Somebody's got to speak up. Yeah. So you can set the tone by revealing, or not just by being vulnerable yourself, but the expectation is somebody else has to chime in. It can't just be the Daniel and Lane show when we're in our group.
Correct. You know. I do. I just let the pause sit there for a bit. We do have in our group a lady that's gifted in teaching, and she does a great job. But then there's been times where she's, personal things or setback and not want to teach this particular one. And so then I step in and do it. And so I walk away sometimes thinking, oh, she would have been so much better than I was tonight. That kind of thing. Yeah. But so sometimes I feel like trying to get the ball going. You're just asking the questions. And I feel like, okay, come on and help me. But in the beginning, I felt like the awkward silence, I've got to say something. I've got to say something. Yeah. But I have noticed that if I just sit back, give it a minute or two
and give them time,
give them some time to think. That's right. Purpose. Somebody comes in.
And, I know we have a lot of educational backgrounds at the table, but there are so many different learning styles.
100%.
And so when you get this group together, there are some thinkers, there are some, some people who are going to just, the first thing that comes to mind, they're going to say. There's some people who just really need to hear other people talk so that they can kind of, in a sense, be kinesthetic. Like they're working all these things together to go, okay, now I understand the question better. And so I think that's one of the most important things when you're in groups and in community is to realize everybody there is not you, doesn't think like you.
That's so good.
And you have to leave that room for some of those people to get engaged, or, some people just aren't going to talk. There's some people I think about in our group who they don't share, but they also don't miss. They love being there. They find value in being there, and they love the community aspect of it. And so, I think for a lot of people, they're scared. If I don't talk, I just can't really be part of a group. Like, and dive in. Yeah, dive in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, 100%.
and
there's value in that space because sometimes people need the space and time to either muster the courage to say what needs to be said or let the spirit move.
Yeah.
100% on that.
It can't just be about the leader or the host or whoever. Right. It's got to be.
Well, if it is about the leader, then it's more information, not life tricks.
Exactly.
Right. Like somebody's just sitting there teaching at you. It's just another Sunday service. And that's not the goal. In fact, that's the opposite of the goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's so good. So a little follow-up question. So what rhythms and habits have you seen actually help your people grow together instead of just meeting together? So yeah, that's the question. Yeah. So like what are some rhythm habits that you guys have seen actually help people like want to be together, want to meet together, or want to be together rather than just like you said, sitting, meeting and checking out?
Yeah, I think rhythm is really important with groups. And I think a big part of it is just putting your yes on the table and making it a part of your routine. And then once that routine is built, it becomes really hard to miss that. Like we've been in a group now for at least 7 years, really, maybe short period of time not in a group. And if we don't have a weekly meeting with other people, it's like, it feels like something's missing.
Yeah.
We know that time Monday is carved out for group night right now, or for a couple of years it was Wednesdays. And so it's not a sacrifice anymore to show up because it's just a part of our weekly routine and rhythm. And so I think a lot of people are scared to add something, but if you add something long enough, you forget that it's there because it's a habit.
Yeah. And I think too, it's a good thing. We all have had kids or have kids, but it's a good for our family of like a non-negotiable, like Sunday morning is a non-negotiable. Like nothing happens between this time because we're at church. So I think the same thing applies to groups that, we've been out of a group since we moved. We're jumping in tonight, which we're super excited about. But both Brand and I have said we just feel off. Like we don't have that group of people that we can, rely on, help us be accountable in certain things. So we're super excited to, again, a non-negotiable. Yes, we have Mondays are very busy, but it's going to be worth it in the end because it's just a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for most of the time that I've been at the Orchard, I've been in groups. So, and they've all been met at different times, or whatever. But I've never been part of one that it was weekly. We do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do every other week. Okay. With all the groups that I've ever been a part of. But I've always said that too. Like, occasionally there's things that come up on your calendar, for me, like because one of them was in the morning, time. The other ones are in the evening. But so occasionally life happens and you have to miss it or whatever. But I've said that always from the beginning, like that is my commitment. It's on my calendar. And if it's just something like, could I go there? Could I go there? I'm definitely going to go to my group versus the other, because it is what those are the people that I'm doing life with outside. Some of my closest friendships of people that I probably would have never on the outside made a friendship with this person, but I'm spending this time with them, going in depth, talking about things. They've walked me through some hard times. They've been there through grief. They've been there through celebrations. Yeah. So those are people you want to spend time with. Yeah. Those are the people you want to see them. You want to talk. And then you, of course, start doing things outside a group with those same people. Yeah. And so those are just to me, it's one of the most important part of my walk in this community. Absolutely. This community is.
Just from different seasons of life. Like you learn, I love a good multi-generational group where I have someone that's older than me where I'm like, hey, I'm going through the thick of motherhood. Can you help me with X, Y, and Z? But then it goes like the mentor and mentee. Like it's also good to have someone younger where you can pour into them because you've been poured into. So yeah. And the fact too, it's like when you have that group, especially when you're like in a D group, like a smaller, those women are relying on you because if too many of you cancel, then it's like, it's not super great. You want to have someone that's going to keep you accountable. And so I love that aspect of just,
Yeah, because the ladies group that I'm a part of, I am the youngest. And so the wisdom that they bring to me and the knowledge is it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny you talk about kids and connections there. So a happy side effect of our groups night being in a centralized location has been there's groups of families with young kids that we kind of attached to.
So you both are in group night.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you are in like a small group, like at a home. Okay. Well, I'd love to kind of talk about that too, but go ahead, Daniel.
No, so we've made connections with other small families and we've got like our pregame Chick-fil-A we meet in Live Oak.
I love it.
But our kids, when we don't have groups night, will be verbally upset about it.
Yeah.
And then also if we don't do Chick-fil-A, so like tonight's President's Day, so we've canceled groups night, but they say, can we still do Chick-fil-A?
So even if they see the importance, they're having their own little community.
Exactly.
I love that.
And that Chick-fil-A gather is probably as effective or more 100%. Important than getting together for groups. And because it's a byproduct of groups, right? Like that's the goal, is to get community where you want to be there, your kids want to be there. And it's cool that they notice that rhythm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We were all kind of bummed that we weren't having it. So kind of, Trey, like what you were talking about, when you notice when it's not happening.
Yeah.
But we kind of committed to the kids. We're going to try to do Chick-fil-A anyway tonight.
I love that.
You guys
still them in routine.
You just come over to Lake City tonight, okay? You guys have your Chick-fil-A in Lake City. Come over here. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Matt. Why'd you cancel? What's wrong?
That reminds me of our Chick-fil-A hangouts after student ministry.
Oh man,
those are some best times.
Again, living in community.
So Carla, and I don't know if she maybe has made this connection, but she's led groups she's led a lot of groups because she did kids ministry, she did student ministry, she's done the adult side of things. But that's one really cool thing about the Orchard is small groups are not just for the adults.
That's
our kids ministries have that. Our student ministries have that. There have been seasons where there's been kind of a young adults or college careers. And we believe, and I'm speaking on behalf of the church that I don't work for here, but we believe in the power of groups, right?
Basically, yeah.
So, it's something from, the time they can start having conversation until the end of time that we see the value in.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So I have a question. So we've all been in groups. Has there ever been a season for you that you're willing to share personally where a group has really impacted you? Like, had you not been in a group, maybe you would have really struggled, or, a time when you were able to rally around someone in your group. If you're willing to share, I'd kind of love to hear just kind of the importance of groups in your life pertaining to maybe a difficult or trying season.
So I've kind of got an example of a reason to be connected, but we weren't actually connected when this happened. So we were living in Lakeland and going to a church there, and we'd been regular Sunday attendees, but we weren't connected to a small group yet. And we experienced a miscarriage. And that was an extremely difficult time, as you can imagine. But we didn't realize, we didn't realize what we were missing until we needed it. So there was this void of, we need connection, we need support, we need our church to respond to us, but nobody knew because we weren't connected outside of family. So there was a need that we could have filled had we made the choice to be connected, but we kind of put it off, and then life happened, and
like it does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was kind of an aha moment, because after that we were much more intentional about, we want to be connected. We moved after that. We moved to Live Oak.
Okay.
And when we got here and decided the Orchard was the place for us, we immediately started looking for a group, because we knew, hey, something is going to come around the corner.
Yes.
And we need to be connected.
Yeah. No, I think that's so good, because again, you've been in that season, and I hope that the listener hears that of, this is a great time when you are going through those difficult seasons, when you are plugged into a group, they can love you. They can bring you the meals. They can visit you in the hospital. I had a similar experience where all of those things were so real, to where I need to just share the story at some point because I reference it a lot. But I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks and constantly had, our group leader came in, prayed over us, brought us meals, brought us flowers, helped us have a date night, all the things that I couldn't do because I was in the hospital. But again, had we not been in a group, we wouldn't have had that community rally around us when we really, really needed someone to pick us up, to bring us a cup of coffee, to send us that encouraging text like, hey, I'm praying for you today. So thank you for sharing and practicing what you preach. We're going to be open, and thank you for doing that.
Well, and in contrast, Lane just had knee surgery, much different experience medically, but there was a need for just the things, right?
Yeah.
And part of our Chick-fil-A crew, they showed up with food. They came to take the girls to hang out so they could get out of the house. Yeah. One of them even showed up one night. We were out of ketchup, and she dropped ketchup off at the door for us, I swear.
Hey, community is important. They will even bring you the ketchup.
And that was so clutch, because the little ones needed ketchup. It was one of those times where meltdowns were happening, but ketchup arrived. So
because of ketchup.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, we have a similar story, and we've been in groups so long. We've had 2 miscarriages while we've been in groups, and the first one, we didn't know how to navigate it at all, right? We really, truly had no clue. I mean, the second one wasn't easy, but the first one was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And AJ and Katie were in a group with us at the time, and they just dropped everything immediately and showed up at the door with food and just sat there. And didn't have to talk, like just kind of, it was just like, okay, we're going to bring Dax over to play with Sammy and they're going to go outside and, you know, me and AJ just kind of sat out there and watched the boys. Katie and Savannah hung out, and it was a very sweet moment. That was kind of early on in our group life. And then later in another, you know, in the second miscarriage, we had multiple friends just show up with food and just hang out at the house that night. You know, Savannah's a stay-at-home mom, so when that's happening, she's got all day to sit at home. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it was just so refreshing to have that happen. And then it's also like a sobering reminder for us to say, hey, when things happen in other people's lives, like we have been blessed with so much. Who would we be not to bless others and show up in those moments and send flowers and show up at the funerals and, or just all kinds of other ministry opportunities exist so much because you're in community. Yeah. You know, recently we had somebody whose mom passed away, and as a group, we were able to just bless them with gift cards and, you know, I don't say those things to say, man, our group's crushing it. I say those things to say, like, if you're not in community, there's a reason you need to be in community, which is the story that we're all sharing right now. Yeah. Like, there are people who want to know you. And I think Chip did a series recently, and one of the takeaways was it's important to know people, but it's more important to be known by someone. I probably butchered that, but
no, it sounds well with that.
Yeah, but it's more important to be known by someone. Yeah, that's the big kicker. Like, again, a core value of the Orchard is we want something for you, not something from you, and that's the for you. Yeah, you know, you show up, but there's something in this for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would just like to say one of the things that has been most important to me, besides, all the things y'all have talked about that the group does for you in those times. The big thing for me was, okay, so we're all parents in here, and there's every season of life that comes along, and you think it's really, taking charge when they're little, and then you got teenagers and that kind of thing, and then you got college age students. So there's been times that it may not be something I wanted to just share all out in my groups. As much as I love my groups and how close we are, but in every group, there has been a bond with one or two, other ladies that at any time I can send out a text and be like, okay, this parenting thing, I need help here, whatever. And some of them were older than me. Some of them were in the same stage with me. And to be able to collaborate one-on-one, meet with me and let's have coffee. I need to talk over this. Yeah. And those people praying with me. Yeah. And not just saying they were going to pray with me. I was praying with me. Yes. And then 2 days later, hey, I'm just checking back in. Yeah. How are things going? I prayed for you again this morning. Yeah. Those things are so important because, it just lets you know that they're in it with you. Yeah. They are praying and they're on your behalf. They really want to see the outcome. And then when they share back to you, listen, I've walked it. This. Yeah. It's so very helpful. And, sometimes those are just things, sometimes we don't want to, throw it all out in a group amongst a bunch of people. But even though I love each one of them, you just need those that you can just do that. Right? And I feel like those are the kind of relationships that are also built in your community. Yeah.
So that kind of sounds like more of like a D group. Is that kind of what you were in?
Never been in a D group.
Okay. Have you been in a D group before?
No, but I'm familiar.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Trey, you've been in one.
I'm in like 3 right now.
Okay.
And one of them just found out about the other one, and they said they think I'm cheating on them. So,
snap.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. So one of my D groups has an opening. They said that they're trying to replace me. So
okay.
So is the D for drama or?
No, they listen to this podcast, so I want to make sure they heard that part. Discipleship group.
Okay. So let's talk about that, because it kind of sounds like a little bit what you had, where you had a smaller group of women that you kind of like shot a text to.
But they were just women that's part of my groups.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one is from, the ladies group, and one of them's from my mixed group,
Okay. So it's not necessarily ladies you meet with all the time, but like ones you can like shoot a text to. I'm like, hey, absolutely. I need you to be a prayer warrior right now. Okay. But you've been in one. So let's talk about D groups. How has that like impacted your life? Because obviously they're smaller. Yeah. I'll let you talk about it.
And I will say this, on Monday nights, or our group nights in Lake City, one of the byproducts is we've launched a lot of D groups out.
Oh, okay.
And so even though Carla's not calling hers a D group, it's the same concept.
It's the concept. Yeah. About to say, I'm not really technically a
right.
It's the concept.
Yeah. So, but so I'm in one that I've been in for a while now with two buddies of mine who were in very similar stages of life.
Okay.
And so we just really are able to sit and challenge each other. And it is really where the more information part of a lot of stuff happens. Like there's a life transformation stuff. I mean, we go on trips, we hang out, we get our families together. We're very intentional to do that kind of stuff, but we really challenge each other. We see things online and we send them to each other and we test them against scripture, and we throw those ideas at each other. When we sit down at a table across from each other, we check in, we temperature check each other on, what's going on in life. I remember one time I sat down at a table and I got the look from both of them, like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, yeah. And I did not have any intent on sharing that morning, but I couldn't get away from it. Right. Yeah. Like they were like, hey, what's up? And then I'm in another D group where I'm the youngest guy in the group, and we're all in similar stages, but I have the youngest kids and two of the guys have older kids, but we are all kind of navigating things, and we're walking through a book together right now. And the goal was just kind of to get together for a couple months, walk through this book. And then, if we continue to meet, that's great. Or if we say, hey, we really liked walking through this book, then we're going to launch other D groups. But the cool thing is you do these months together, and all of a sudden now these are like, your battle tested buddies. Like we go to war for each other in prayer. I mean, we really do. Like it's a constant, hey, this is going on right now, transparent, be honest. And we pray for each other a lot. And we, want to talk about, we have a lot of boys amongst the four of us in that group that are our children. And so we talked about, doing a camping trip or something and that fun. Kind of stuff. And so even if we don't continue to meet, we are still going to be iron sharpening iron. And so that's the cool part of that. And it sounds like, oh my gosh, how do you navigate all this? How do you have enough time in the day for all this? And I don't. It's just these groups are very, like, these are my friends, right? Yeah. And so we just make time when we have it. And if we don't, it's a no offended policy. We haven't, this group of four, we haven't met in a month because of various things that have been going on. My group with two guys, we haven't had an intentional meeting with just the three of us in, probably 3 or 4 months, but we talk every day. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, discipleship groups need to be a little maybe more intentional than that. But again, one's been going on for a long time, and the other one, just situations happen, but it's a blast. And there are a lot of those that have launched out of our Monday night group night. That's and so awesome. Like I know Savannah, she has one that she's a part of, and they get to just get together, and she's so encouraged whenever she comes back from that. They get lunch like once a week and come home on my lunch break, and she goes out and then comes back, and she's just the weeks that she misses that, you can see it. And so it's not that we have this crazy schedule where we're never together. It's just, it's become a priority. Yeah. Yeah. So
I was a part of one in Omaha before we launched to like Bennington, and we would meet at 6:00 in the morning. This was clearly way before children.
Still commitment.
Yeah, seriously. But it was across the street from the school that I worked at. I was a 5th grade teacher at the time. And so we would bring breakfast. We would make breakfast together, eat it, discuss it, pray. But to me, like, the part that I love most was like, I had these women in my corner praying for me. And I think a lot of the times, you kind of alluded to it, Carla, where people say, okay, I'll be praying for you. It's like, no, these women are going to war for you, to pray over you. And I feel like that's also a great opportunity in those D groups where maybe praying is something that intimidates you and it scares you. But when it's only praying with 2 people, I feel like it takes that pressure away to where you can truly just pray, which is, talking to God. So I know for me, that was super impactful because it was cool because that's how I started my Thursday morning every single week was with these women. And you educators know you need lots of prayer before you step into that classroom because it is a daily battlefield. So that was kind of my experience with D groups that I really appreciated.
I think too that, and you're alluding to it there, but the difference in praying with somebody and praying for somebody is just night and day. Yeah. Right. Like I was listening to a podcast recently of a guy, and he said, "Man, when's the last time you prayed with your family?" And he said, "No, don't mishear me. I'm not asking when's the last time you prayed for your family." He said, "That's a given. You should be doing that." He said, "But you need to pray with your family if you want to be the man God called you to be." Same thing in those groups. Like if we want to be the community God called us to be, we need to pray with each other. Yeah. And not in an intimidating, oh my gosh, who says the prayer is the best way, but just an intercession on behalf of others.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So as we're kind of starting to land this plane in Chip's phrase, any lasting thoughts about community, church, anything you guys want to kind of share?
Yeah, I've been circling around this idea as we've been talking that the community you keep is really the soil you grow in. And so what I mean there is if you keep community that is like-minded, they're, in the word, in church, they're intentional about being in community with each other, and they're living out that love that you're supposed to have, then you reap the benefits of that.
Yeah.
If you're not in those communities, if you're not in community that's God-centered, then you also reap the consequences of those things.
Yeah.
That's not to say community can't happen outside of the church or even inside the church without being part of a group. But there's fertile ground that we should plant ourselves in.
Yeah. No, that's, so good in that. The fact that community can happen. You can happen at the ball field, can happen at jiu-jitsu, but whenever that group is life-giving, they are living, by the Spirit. It's like there's just something different about that group that you want to be a part of that's going to pour into you in a life-giving way.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Chip and I were at an event recently, and there were a lot of pastors there. And one of the questions Chip was asked was like, how do you manage with that many people? And I mean, ultimately, the Orchard's not a huge church, right? Like we are larger than an average church. And they were asking him, how do you manage like your time with that many people, hospital visits and funerals? And Chip's response was actually really good. He said, I don't have to. Our groups show up.
That's so true.
And so, that's, I mean, again, I think we, talked about this throughout the whole episode. That's been the theme, but the goal is the community that you get from that. And so, a lot of people want the pastor to show up, and he's going to do his very best, right? And Matt's going to do his very best. Robert's going to do his very best. They're all going to do everything they can do to show up, but you don't worry about the 30 minutes that they're there whenever you got a group cycling in when you're sitting at the hospital over and you're covered all day. Yeah. And so I think that's one of the key importances is community can happen by accident, but it will happen if you're intentional.
Yeah. No, that's,
Well, and it's not just on the pastor to be the one that shows up, like you just said. Like we're all called to live on mission. That's been the drum we beat for a long time. And part of that is being in a group and showing up for each other and praying for each other and all the things that go with it.
Yeah. I think too, there are churches, how many, 2,000 compared, or if you add all the locations together?
Something like
about that. Yeah. So if it was up to the pastor, that's a lot of people. But because we have so many people, it's like you get to be that much more intentional when you're in a group for them to come pray for you, for them to set up the meal train, for them to, do the hospital visit, see you at the funeral. Like you said, it's a constant cycling through of people rather than putting all of that, on just one sole person. Yeah. So I totally agree. You got any thoughts, Miss Carla?
No, I think y'all have, I think everything I would have to agree with you what you said. And I just feel like that being in a community helps you feel like you belong at the Orchard,
right?
You know, because like we said earlier, you can walk in and walk out. But when you're with your community, you just feel a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Like, that too.
I was just thinking of like the love God, love others. Like in a community, you're able to love people so well because like you said, those are the ones that are in the corner with you. They're holding you up. They're helping guide you. They're pouring into you. And it's like, you get to love people well. And then because of that pouring you then get to live on mission and pour out into your community, into your workplace.
And there's so much more than just that holy handshake on Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
If you're not connected, you're missing it. And it's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing to be connected because the richness of the relationships that you get to experience, you're not going to find that somewhere else.
Yeah. I think one of the things, it's hard to get four people in a room who agree on anything anymore, right? But the four of us at this table, I think, would say, I don't regret being a part of a group at all. I don't regret being a part of a community at all. And we've all been in the mess of that. We've all been through the thick of it. And I think all of us still say every single moment that we've been in community was better than the moments we weren't.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Yeah. So I would say if you're listening and maybe you attend the Orchard or just checking it out, I would say talk to someone at your location about the groups. There's so many, you have the group nights that Live Oak and Lake City have. You have, a women's only group, men's only, couples. There is something for you. So our prayer and hope is that through this conversation today, you would just feel encouraged and challenged to jump into a group. But we thank you so much for jumping in on the conversation. It was so nice getting to have a voice from each location. And again, hearing the importance of why community matters within a group. So until next week, we will see you guys then. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk About That. We hope it encouraged and challenged you as we continue to grow on this journey of faith and embrace community together. If you have more questions, thoughts, or feedback, we want to hear from you. Be sure to reach out to us through our social media or visit our website to stay connected. If you found today's discussion meaningful, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Until next time, we hope that this episode inspired you and will keep Sunday's message at the front of your mind. See you next week.